Hey everybody, welcome to another Fun in 5. Bringing you today board game mechanic about dice. Dice can be used in board games in so many ways. I got into dice, my first experience with dice was with Yahtzee with my mom and the game 10,000, if you've never heard of it. It's just a quirky luck-based game. But then kind of evolved with Dungeons and Dragons and experiencing polyhedral dice and all the fun you can have with that, with thacos and d20s. But anyway, once I got into board games a few years ago, I just discovered how much more dice are used in games beyond the roll and moves from things like Monopoly or Clue or things like that. So let's talk about why I like dice. First off, I like the tactile and visual element of them. No matter what size or color or shape the dice are in, it's just nice to be able to hold them into your hand. Sometimes you want to give them a roll. Sometimes you might have a dice bag. Just hearing them on the table or in a dice tray or a dice tower like Wingspan. Just great to see and feel the dice. It's just a nice component to have in a game. And different games use different dice. Sagrada uses nice colorful dice to look like stained glass. I really like how that appears once you get your board together. It looks amazing. A game like Castles in Burgundy just uses plain old dice just for placement purposes. And then maybe a game like, Stone Age uses kind of dice that look like bone. They all use them in different ways. Occasionally games just use the dice just for the pure mechanic of it, but other games use it for the visual element of it, and I really like when the visual ties into the game itself. Second thing I like about dice is it involves mathematics and statistics. Even though it is a luck-based system, you know when you're rolling dice, especially if you're rolling with some factors or some bonuses, you can kind of mathematically figure out what are your chances. Is it likely that I'm going to exceed the number? What are the chances I'm going to fail, and do I want to take that risk? It kind of gives you that push your luck mentality, whether you're playing a game like Feast for Odin. I've got that behind me here, but Feast for Odin, if you're going to go hunting whales or trying to shoot things with your bow and arrow, you know that there's a risk. Or if you're going to go pillage, or in a game like Root, even though it's a 12-sided die, there's only like a 3, a 2, and a 1, I think, on it. So you just got to factor that in. So it's fun playing with mathematics and statistics with dice. Third thing I like is that there is some randomness to it that adds some excitement. You may be down to your last couple of health and die in the dungeon and really not know if you're going to make it through, but through a little bit of randomness and luck-based factors, maybe a bit of adjustments on the side, you can get the epic moment when you slay that creature when you thought you weren't going to make it. Or with Castles of Burgundy, you don't have any adjustments left. You just have to roll the dice and you get that 6 to get that item that you wanted to buy on the 6, or you get to place that castle and give yourself a bonus turn. So just the luck that it kind of places in the game, that randomness, also includes excitement and creates those moments that you can't get in just pure strategic games. So that's the fun part about it. Fourth thing I like about it is when there is mitigation and some level of control. In almost every game you see here, I believe there are elements of mitigation, whether it's you roll 5 dice and get to choose 3, or you might have workers that can go plus or minus on your dice, or you may have a chance to do re-rolls, or you may have tokens that you can use. I like Stone Age. You can get the hammers that can adjust your overall roll, and you can choose when to use those hammers or axes or whatever, the tools. So all of these games and more generally have some form of mitigation or adjustments to them. And if you time them right, you can kind of dodge some of the randomness, probably not completely. And you still hope for the randomness, because if you can get the number without having to use your workers or your adjustments, then you can save those for when you really do need them, when you're getting close to the end of the game and you absolutely have to hit those numbers. So I really like that aspect of dice-based games and the dice mechanic. And then the fifth thing I like is that they are so versatile. So when it comes to board games, even though all of these games use dice, and some of the ones behind me use dice in some way, shape, or form, they're all used so differently and different numerics. Like I said, the 12-sided die in Root actually doesn't have 12 numbers on it, which is kind of cool. I've got a die in the Dungeon that just has the symbols of heroes on it instead of the numbers 1 to 6. Or in a game like Warriors, all the sides of their dice, I took them out of this one, I've got them in the expansions, but all the sides of the dice represent different strengths of the same creature, and they all are etched dice, so So many different things can be done with dice, and it makes these games fun, especially if you get a surprise when you get a game that you weren't expecting those kind of dice in, and you get to see what kind of impact they can have. So dice-based games, one of my favorite things. It's one of the reasons I designed Die in the Dungeon, is I wanted to have a fun dice-based game that used all the polyhedral dice in a way that I hadn't seen it before. And I love all these other games that use dice in innovative ways. I particularly liked Castles of Burgundy. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did once we discovered it. And it is all based on a dice system, but so much mitigation and placement in there that it almost doesn't feel that way in the end. Anyway, thanks for watching another mechanic show, and take care.